Hello, welcome to Ending Well with Manel. My name is Manel, and we're going to follow up on the conversation that I've had talking about back to school and estate planning. And I know you might be thinking back to school is not really when we're thinking about estate legacy planning. This is not the time. We're talking about babies, we're talking about university students, everybody's starting fresh, and it's a new season. And that's exactly why I want us to think about estate planning and not hoping for the wrong things or bad things to happen, but rather getting it done now while we're in that mindset of a refresh so that whenever and if ever something happens, you're not scrambling to try to figure out what to do. It's already established and you're just following course. Okay. So if you've seen, I was just on CHCH and Fresh Air on CBC talking about estate planning for back to school. We're going to go a little bit deeper. The number one thing I want us to do is just to think about starting ahead, right? We're thinking, let's plan ahead. Let's do something a little proactively, right? So there's three things that I want us to start on. We're going to start with the medical information, so medical changes that have happened, any benefit changes that have happened, benefits specifically for university students, college working students, or working people, young people. And then third is going to be ours or your job as parents to make sure that things are easy for your children. Okay, so let's get started with that. We're talking about three main things: medical directives, benefits, and your duties. Okay, now I know it's exciting. Did you know that many parents of young children actually do not have a will? Number one responsibility once you have children, not number one, maybe number one is keeping the children alive, but the next one is making sure that you've got someone who will look after them, who will care for them if anything happens to you. So please make sure you do your will. Now, let's talk about medical directives. Same idea. Now we're going back to school. Let's talk young people, young children. They're going back to school. Maybe they've developed a new allergy over the summer. Maybe some new tendencies have developed. If we can get ahead of things, I know most schools have forms that you have to fill out. And so in your forms, you'll have, the information for the children so that they can, oh, are we okay? Yeah. So that they can update their information already through the school. So that is good. Now you're also going to want to think outside of the school. Where else is the child involved? Where else might it be important that their new allergies or tendencies be reported? So any after school activities, any friends groups. You might think, yeah, they're doing this after school camp and it's only for 30 minutes and nothing's happening there with food or anything like that. Or maybe it's not even food, maybe it's scent or something like that. But rather be holistic. It's like me going to a restaurant. Even if I don't order anything, I'm allergic to avocado. Even if I don't order anything with avocado, I still tell them, hey, just so you know, because I don't know what the cook is doing. I don't know what else is happening out there. And I want to be as prepared as I possibly can. So the same idea applies to your children. Be as prepared as you possibly can. Be that one that they're all like, oh my goodness, we all know they have this allergy. Perfect. I want you all to know so that nobody can say they were not aware and that there is a question or there was a mistake, right? Second thing you'll want to do is make sure that you have backup people available to support you. So let's say that you are the designated caregiver. And do you have a secondary guardian or caregiver or person who can support in case of an emergency? Our hope is that nothing bad happens. But you know how life goes when something crazy happens, like somebody being left at school because some parent forgot that they needed to be picked up from the summer camp or the week camp that they went away and enjoyed. And then the child was just waiting at the school for a very long time with a teacher who really wanted to go home, not calling out any names, mom, but. And this is back in the day when there were no cell phones. You just had to hope that someone was going to come home to get the house phone to call. Today, you guys have more options. But let's say something happens, crosswords, crosswaves. Somebody forgot that they needed to pick up one of the children. Now, one person is in Scarborough and it is 3 o'clock. Child is at school. in Toronto waiting to get picked up, maybe Etobicoke trying to get picked up. Other parent is in Hamilton making their way back. And we all know that's traffic time. Nothing is going to happen really quickly. Is there an auntie? Is there a somebody that you can have as a backup person so that they have support and someone can pick them up? I'm just saying, start having these conversations now. Start thinking, okay, yes, we have our godparents. Yes, we have our guardians, but those might be for bigger things. I'm talking the small things. Do you have a backup plan for that? I always like to think, so we're thinking back to school. Let's just assume that if anything goes wrong, if you were to have a fall, what are the things you need to think about so that things are cared for the children and things can continue smoothly? We want to avoid as much friction as we possibly can. Do you like that? A little bit of back to school science friction? No? Okay, whatever. Um, Another thing that we can do for younger students, let's say now we're getting into maybe teenage or whatever age people have cell phones now, is on your cell phone, you have an ICE in case of emergency contact. Maybe you want to fill that in. I know some people feel great about technology, some people don't. So do what you're comfortable with. But you might want to have something that you can put on your child and keep with them so that in case of an emergency, any parent or whoever else is around them might have that contact information, right? So you can set that up. Same like on your cell phone, you have the option of doing medical information. You can put any medical alerts or things like that on the cell phone as well, which is a great way to share information if you're comfortable with it using technology. If not, I was listening to them talk about not medical issues, but like passwords and things like that today. And literally, when things go crazy, what's the first thing we do? We say, forget all the tech and everything. Give me a piece of paper and a pen and write these things down. So you can also have a card, a sheet, something that you're going to put in the child's backpack. And this is their in case of emergency folder or, little handheld item that they would have to keep. Maybe it's inside of one of their favorite stuffies or something like that. And just have it handy. I know when I was growing up, my mom used to quiz me. She would quiz me all the time. And it would be, where's the key for it? Like she had all of her information in a filing folder and there was a key for it. And so I would be going about my business having my breakfast and I'd get a random, Manel, where's the key for this? Oh, it's in this, next to this, next to that. Okay. So we had this growing up all along, which maybe led to why I'm doing what I'm doing. But it's about being prepared and being comfortable. The most important thing we can do is get comfortable with these conversations and with the care that's needed. So, if you're able to inform the child, let them know. And one other thing, actually, I wanted to mention as they're getting older, or even as they're younger, what kind of things can you share with them? Remember, so that they can support you. We've all seen the TikToks where these young kids do amazing jobs of saving their parents. And you want to make sure that if something happens to you, is your child able to support you once they're able to do that? Like, hey, if you're diabetic, you might say, hey, if you see me in a situation, not situation, maybe not like that, use the language that your child understands, but let them know that you can always give mommy or daddy or whomever apple juice, orange juice or something like that. Like whatever is important for your care. Do they know your phone number? Do they know how to call 911? Those are general things that we all know that they should know, but just kind of keep all of that in mind because it's back to school. Wow. Okay. We spent some time on children. Great. Let's go now to university age, young people and young adults. So, if you are now going into post secondary, I want to touch on benefits. And I think that is extremely important because benefits cost money. And we want to be as economical as possible when you are a college or university or that age student or young person, because we know that budgeting is key. So, if you have benefits through your work, check what is available. If you have benefits while you're still covered as a child under a parent, check what is available. Over the years, things change. You want to make sure that you have the coverage that is needed. You might be covered with all that you need under your parent if you are still in full time school up until whatever age, it might be 25 or something like that. Just check. And if that's the case, you've got the benefits, you can opt out of the benefits from school. That way, you're not paying double for the same thing. Or maybe you need some supplemental coverage. Maybe the parents don't have full coverage for you. You only covered at 25%. Now you can supplement that with the benefits through school, right? So you get how it goes. You want to just make sure that you've got the coverage you need, regardless of what kind of care you might actually find that you need. So that's important to know. Hold on one second. I also want to encourage, if you are a young person, you're over 18, you can now make medical decisions for yourself. If that's the case, do you want your parent to be the one making medical decisions if you have a fall or if you're not able to speak for yourself? In many cases, the answer is yes. Now, once you can, it's important that you document that. A power of attorney, and again, not again, but just so you know, a power of attorney is a document that gives someone the medical consent, the medical permission to make decisions for you if you're not able to do so. You can do that online through when you're creating a will, when you're also getting a power of attorney document. You can do that really simply online. You can do it with a lawyer, once you've got an estate, something to protect. Now, you could have a car, you could have assets, you could have stocks, like you can have a lot of things at any age. So you decide whether you need a will, might be important, and you can also get your power of attorney. You can also create your power of attorney documents online. If you go to I'm in Ontario, if you go to the Ontario website, ontario.ca, it's okay. I'll give you the checklist. In my checklist, the link is right there. You can just go there and create your power of attorney documents. So that's a beautiful thing because it doesn't take all of this extra. You can just do this by yourself. So that's good to know as well. Now, something else to think about is, not just giving somebody the permission to make those decisions for you, but also letting them know what's important to you so that whatever decisions they make align with how you're thinking. One second, sorry. Thank you. So another thing to think about, as we were talking about that on the weekend, different generations, different mindsets. So you want to make sure that what you value is communicated so that those who are making decisions for you know what you would want. Now, these are heavy decisions, but I like to think of power of attorney as a great place to start because anything could happen. And it doesn't mean death. What I'm saying is we could have a fall. You could be unconscious for all of 24 hours, even 2 hours, anything. Something could happen where you're intubated, anything. And you want to make sure that someone is available and someone can speak for you. Okay, so that gives us a little bit of the backup for the elementary age kids, the university age or young adults. And then for us, not ourselves, but for yourselves as parents, as adults of these children, there's a little homework for you too. And that's doing your same documents. So making sure that you've got your documents in order, that you have your power of attorney done, so that in case anything happens to you, they are cared for, right? So that someone can speak for you, but also making sure that any guardianship documents or anything that is created is up to date and reflects your wishes, right? So if anything happens to you, your kids are cared for seamlessly. The goal when we're doing these resets is just to think, is everything up to date? Is there anything I need to be concerned about? And again, remember my example. If I have a fall, what would need to be in place so that things can continue as they are? It's simple, but at the same time, I know that it's not the most joyful of thoughts, but it's key and it's important. And our goal is to live well so that we can end well. And in the living, we need to make sure that we are establishing things and having even the hard conversations. On that, a question I get asked all the time is, Manel, how do I start these conversations? Like it's all well and good to listen to you, and I know it's something I have to do, but how do I even go about this process? And I know it's not easy. I know that it's uncomfortable. So I normally say start with like where somebody is, start small and kind of work them through. But based on what we're talking about today, you can start really, really small by just using your phone and putting in your ICE contact, your in case of emergency person. That is the first and smallest thing that you can do by saying, hey, I'm going to have this on my phone. And just most people know, but that is a contact that anybody can get a hold of, right? So if you fall and someone grabs your phone, they can contact that person. You've established them as that, so it bypasses and they can actually access them. And it's important so that someone can be there for you, like a car accident, something like that. You want someone who, even a stranger, would be able to support you in that. So that's a great place to start, to say, okay, everybody, let's pull out our phones and let's put each other in. Like that's something we can start with. It's simple, actionable, costs nothing, costs just a little bit of time. And then away you go. You've established at least some support for what's going on. Okay, let me make sure I've covered most of what I want to say. I went off script and just started chatting from my heart, which is fun, but at the same time. Let's see here. I'm using a new platform, and I thought I knew how to set up all of the chat and that, and I apologize if you're trying to send a message and it's not open. I will figure this out for the next time. Right? Okay, yes. So we've got that done. Okay, let me pause for just 1 second and then I'll give you my supports that are available to you. I think the really important thing to consider is your why. And that's what we're talking about back to school and, kind of why I'm saying to do this now. In addition to that is your why. And I know that we were talking about like, how do I get started? In addition to doing all of this prep and having these conversations and everything, it's our why. And it's not just, I want things to be simple. Have like a very specific why. Now, for me, like I use my family as example. Like when I was talking to, my dad, I had to go through this whole process with him. And the first why for him was, oh, you guys you just want to make it easy. You want to get my stuff or whatever it is. Like, I don't know if that's what he was thinking. But it was like, what is the reason you want me to deal with this? I don't want to. It's uncomfortable, so I won't. The why changed when it became, okay, we're dealing with a situation now. I need to have access. I need to have information so that I can better support you as you're going through this process. The why became a physical, immediate action. And my goal for you is to not have a why, like something happened, now is the why, more as in what I tried to establish before, if this makes sense. A why of, I want, like for why I'm doing my estate planning, is I have worked really hard and I want my legacy to not just be that of, my energy, my smile, my joy, my whatever, all of those things. I also want it to be somebody who was easy, somebody who was supportive, somebody who was caring. And I think part of estate planning, even though it's uncomfortable, is a really, really beautiful, caring act. It is a selfless act because it's hard. Um, and in understanding the why and the who is going to be affected by the decisions that you make will make it a lot easier for you to push past the discomfort and to actually get it done. Okay. Woo. So that covers um, most of what I wanted to go over tonight. If you would like, I have a checklist of the points that we covered so that you can just take this. It's a free download. You just go ahead I will have it in the chat right here, and you can take it from there and get the free download, the checklist of what we covered, just to make sure you've got yourself back to school ready and your homework completed. I also have a course that's available. The course walks you through everything from the soups and nuts. It is not long. It is not a complete, one-stop shop. There's each section. It's broken up into paperwork, into planning, and into story. So each of those sections have few videos. Those videos are anywhere from 3 to 10 minutes. They're not too long. You can listen to them while you're doing something else. It's meant to be as simple as possible for you. And then you simply watch the video that you need for where you are. It gives you the information you need to help you go through the process. That is the goal, that we're going through this, taking our time and getting it done. So there's a discount code, 50% off for back to school. So you can take advantage of that because I really want you guys to get this done. And I know that back to school is already busy. So I'm trying to make it as easy for you as possible. So links to both are going to be in the chat. I hope that you enjoyed this quick conversation. I hope you found it helpful. And that's it. I do not see any questions, and that's possibly because I did not set up the the thing very well, and I apologize for that. So, I will definitely answer any of your questions if you leave them in the comments once this is posted. I apologize. Ah, and that's it. I don't even know how to oh, here, I got it. There. Okay, so I've just sent this into the chat. Perhaps there. Got it. Okay, so my 2 links are in the chat. You guys can click those to get those 2 offers. So the free download that's available for you and the course discount if you'd like to take that as well. Okay, that's it for me. Thank you so much for being here. I wish you well. I thank you for joining me, and I will see you next time.